Hello and welcome to Customer Creations. What I'm going to be doing is briefly speaking through how to do C2C, some important little tips, so that way if you're ready to try C2C, you can get it going on your own. So first and foremost, we're going to need some supplies. We're going to need some number 4 worsted weight yarn. I'm going to be using a 5mm hook. You're going to need a pair of scissors and possibly a stitch marker. The stitch marker is only going to be used to place on the right side of your work. So what is C2C? C2C is it's a technique that allows you to create a larger piece of fabric made up of smaller blocks. Okay? And you basically start at one corner and you work your way up to the other corner. That's why it's called C2C. It's a great way to create color patterns using a grid or a graph, which this is what this is. Most times C2Cs will only have a graph. They won't have written instructions. So it's kind of important that you know how to read the graph correctly. The way that we work is going to be the same way. However, we need to be reading it in a certain way. More so when you have an actual image that you want to put on the actual blanket per se. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and make a slip knot with my yarn. And the first step to making the C2C is we are going to want to, it's important first off to know that in this particular image, I've chose this particular image because we're going to have squares. These are what we're going to call the increase squares, and these are going to be the decrease squares. So that's the only reason why they're different colors. We're going to make it one full color, but I wanted to show the difference between increase and decrease. So again, all the blues are going to be our increases, and all the beige or tan is going to be our decreases. So we're going to keep working in a continuous increase until we reach 1. If you're reading a graph, the top block. Okay? If you are just working on a solid design and you just want to keep going and going, you determine how wide and how tall you want it. Once you reach the certain width and height and you want it to go ahead and start making it a full square, then that's when you would start your decreasing. Okay? So again, for row 1, which we're going to start here, row 1, and we're reading the pattern because the way we work, it's going to look like we're working the same way continuously. So it's what's more important about these arrows is when you're reading it on the graph. Okay, it shows you which way to count, so that way you know how many squares that you need to be making. Okay, so for round 1, we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so we're going to go ahead, we're going to do a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Insert our hook, make that double crochet. And we're going to make a double crochet in the remaining 2 chains here. Here's 1 double crochet and 2 double crochet. So here we have 1 block, which would be this one right here. Okay, I know it's kind of out of camera, but I wanted y'all to be sure you see the full graph. But this would be it right here. This is the 1 block that we've already made. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we are going to turn our work. Okay, and so we would turn it the same way that I teach my followers and my students, is just go ahead and turn your work this way. All you're going to do is flip this little block. But before we do that, let's go ahead and mark this as the right side to show this was the side that we started on. Okay. So right now this isn't going to matter, but it's a good thing to start practicing it, because when you make the graphs, the right side and the wrong side is going to determine. If it's on the right side, anytime you have tails from changing colors, you always want them on the wrong side. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and turn our work. And again, anytime we turn our work and we start a new block or a new row, we are going to go ahead and do that chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to do that double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook and a double crochet in the remaining 2 chains. Okay. So now we're at this point, right? So our blocks are going to kind of lay on top of each other. So if you look at your diagram, you have this one, which would be the first one we made right here, and now we have the second one. So we want to make this one, but in order to make it like that, we have to just join with a slip stitch in this chain 3 of block 1. Okay, there's our slip stitch, and now we can go ahead and chain 3. Okay, because we want to go ahead and make another block, so we have to make this chain 3 here, which this was made when we did the chain 6, and we double crocheted in the 4th chain and the 2. Okay, so we have to replicate that, so we have to do 1, 2, and 3. And go ahead and make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and so now we have 2 blocks on row 2, so it matches. Okay, we have 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn our work again. Make sure that this little tail is facing you. Okay, basically you want to be looking at it in this way. So go ahead and turn your work, and it's still going to be facing you. So that would be one good indicator whether or not you're working in the right blocks. Okay, because sometimes you could get turned this way or you could get turned this way. As long as this little tail is facing you, you should be all right. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn our work. Okay, so now row 3 we have to count this way, so we're going to go 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so again, when we turn, we always do that chain 6, 4, 5, and 6, and then we're going to go ahead and do a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. And we're also going to do those 2 remaining chains, 1 double crochet in each. Okay, again, this is where we're going to join with the slip stitch to that chain 3 space. So go in that chain 3 space, slip stitch, and make chain 3. Okay, now you do those 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to repeat that same step over again. We're going to slip stitch in that chain 3, chain 3, and make 3 double crochets in that chain 3 space. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and we just completed row 3. Now row 4, again, now we got to count from this direction downward. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, the tail looking at you. Go ahead and turn your work. Make sure it's still looking at you. So now you're going to do the chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are going to make 1, 2, 3, 4. A double crochet in our 4th chain from the hook, and we're going to do 2 double crochets and the remaining 1 double crochet in each of the 2 remaining chains. Okay, we're going to slip stitch yet again into the chain 3 space, and we are going to do a chain 3. 1, 2, 3, followed by 3 double crochets in that space. 1, 2, 3. We're going to keep doing that, okay? When we're doing the increases, when we turn, we are always going to do that chain 6, double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook, followed by those 2 double crochets, one in each of the remaining 2 chains. Okay, your middle of your work is always going to be the same, where you're going to chain 3, and then, well, once you slip stitch into that chain 3 spot, you're going to chain 3 and do your 3 double crochets, slip stitch, chain 3, and 3 double crochets. That's going to be the repeat pattern for the middle of the work. Okay, so let's go ahead and slip stitch, chain 3, and now we're going to make those 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. So we're done with row 4. Row 5, now we're going to read it in this direction. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn our work. We're going to start off with that chain 6. So just remember, every time you turn your work on the increasing parts only, you are going to go ahead and chain 6, and then you're going to do that double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook, and of course in the 2 remaining chains we're making 1 double crochet in each. We're moving on next here, so we're going to slip stitch, chain 3, and double crochet in 3 in this chain 3 space. So it's a fairly easy, repetitious pattern. One of the main things you have to get used to is reading the graph in the proper direction. Okay, and the other thing is you just need to practice the actual technique of crocheting corner to corner. It's really not all that difficult, because it is a very repetitious pattern. Once you get the hang of it, you're going to find that you're really not going to need to be paying attention much. Okay, so we are done. We have the 5. So now we're on our last one here, right? So now we have to read it downward from 6. We got to come this way. We have 6 squares. Okay, so this is the last row per this graph that we're going to increase. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and finish this one out, and then we're going to start something different on how to decrease. Okay, so this is our last increase per the graph. We're going to go ahead and turn our work on the increases. Remember, always on the increases only. We're going to do that chain 6, and we're going to do that double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook, oh, I did it in the wrong spot. Or did I? Yes, I did. I think I have one too many chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, double crochet 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 4th stitch, the 4th chain, followed by 2 double crochet, 1 in each of the next 2 chains. There we go. Okay, slip stitch here, and do our 3 doubles. After that, chaining 3, okay, Okay, we are at the last one. Okay, so for this though, we are not going to complete out this last one. We're just going to go up to here. 1 2 3 4 5. Nope, I have to make the whole 6. 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, let me make all 6. 1 2 3 4 5. So let's go ahead and make all 6. I'm jumping ahead just a little bit. 1 2 3 and 3 double crochets. Okay, so we are at the finishing part of our increases. Okay, so now the next part is going to be our decreases. It's going to be slightly different than the increases, so stay tuned. We'll go ahead and continue on with that. Okay, so we're going to start our decreasing. So the way we do that is we're going to go ahead and, just like normal, we're going to go ahead and turn our work. Okay, but instead of chaining 6, we're going to go ahead and do that chain 1, and we are going to make 3 slip stitches, 1 in each of our stitches here. Okay, again, chain 1. We're no longer doing chain 6. Chain 6 is only for increasing. We need to decrease now because we need to complete out the square. Okay, so we're not going to be adding any more. So we chained 1, and now we're going to do a slip stitch and one slip stitch in the next 3 double crochets. So there's 2 and there's 3, and then we're going to also do a slip stitch in the turning, not the turning chain, the slip stitch here in the chain 3 spot. So go ahead and do our slip stitch. So this kind of looks like our increasing, right? When we get to the 3, we go ahead and slip stitch in there, and now it's per usual, same thing. We're going to go ahead and chain 3. Okay, and now we're going to make 3 double crochets in this chain 3 space. So it's back to usual, back to business, right, with the chain 3 double crochets. And if you notice here, now that we're no longer increasing and we've decreased, so to speak, now we're going to start working in this direction. We're not going to go up anymore. We're just going to come across now, and we're going to come downward. So we're going to decrease here and here. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep going the usual with this slip stitch, chain 3 and 3 double crochets. I'm going to go ahead and go a little fast so that way we can get to the corner, so I can show you how to handle that. You should already know, or you should already have some practice in the middle section, which is typically the slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochets. Okay, so when we're working this, we're not going to come here because we're no longer increasing. We don't have to make any blocks up here. We need to stop right here, and what I mean by stop is go ahead and do your usual of the slip stitch, chain 3 and the 3 double crochets in this space. Okay, so the only thing that you're going to do here is you're just going to join with that slip stitch. Okay, and it should look something like this. Okay, so you're going to go ahead. So if we're holding the work like this, you can tell this is this square here, right? And this is not quite this one yet. Okay, so we're right here. So we're going to want to work upwards, so that's why we are right here. And we just did that. So here's this square, and here's that square. And here's the rest of our squares, and this square. Okay, so now we're going to turn our work again. Okay, go ahead and do that chain 1, and again, just like we did in the past, we're going to go ahead and do a slip stitch in each of these double crochets here. So go 1 slip stitch, 2 slip stitch, 3 slip stitch. Okay, and then as usual, we're going to go into that chain 3, make that slip stitch and chain 3. And then we're going to again make those 3 double crochets. Okay, join with the slip stitch in that chain 3 space, chain 3 and 3 double crochets. So again, because we did not do a chain 6, it didn't grow up this way. It's coming this way because all we did was that chain 1 and then 3 slip stitches, and then we continued in the same manner we've been doing. Okay, so again, let's do that slip stitch in the chain 3 spot, chain 3 and do 3 double crochets. 1, 2 and 3. Okay, again, slip stitch in this chain 3, and we're going to stop right here. We're just going to do that chain 3 and 3. We're going to finish making this last block here. Okay, and all we're going to do is join with the slip stitch here. Okay, so now we are going to turn our work again. Go ahead and do that chain 1 and slip stitch in the next 3 double crochets. And actually, you don't really need to do a chain 1 if you don't want to. I am not. I think I only did it here so it's making an even transition. But if you wanted to, you could go ahead and just slip stitch straight into those double crochets and that chain 3 space, and it's more flat. You don't have this little kind of gap there. So now we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we make those 3 double crochets. Slip stitch in that chain 3, chain 3 and make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Here's our chain 3 space here, so we're going to slip stitch in there, and we're going to finish that block with the chain 3 and 3 double crochets. And then we join with the slip stitch in the chain 3 spot. Okay, so here we go. So we are on row 9, so when we read it, we would have been reading, I'm forgetting about the graph, we would have read it going up this way. So now we're on row 10 and we have to read it this way, so we need 2 blocks, right? So we're going to go ahead and turn our work. We don't need to slip stitch, and I feel that if you bring the yarn to the front, it makes it easier for you to slip stitch. Okay, so we slip stitch in the first 3 double crochets. Now we're going to slip stitch in the chain 3 space, and the usual, we're going to do that chain 3 and 3 double crochets in that same chain 3 space. And then join with the slip stitch and finish out this last block here. And we're going to complete this row. And join with the slip stitch in the chain 3 spot. And we have finished those 2 on 10, and so now we have just 1. Okay, so when we read it, we'd be reading it in that direction. Now, not all graphs are going to have arrows for you, so you're going to have to probably mark them yourself. Okay, and so we turned our work. Go ahead and slip stitch into the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and in the slip stitch. So we only have 1 block to make here, so all we're going to do is do that chain 3, 3 double crochets, and 3, and join like normal to the slip with the slip stitch in that chain 3 space. And now we can just finish off our work. Cut it off. And we have made the perfect little square. This is the right side because we marked it with the stitch marker, and this would be our wrong side. But technically there's not a, according to the stitches, because you have both, you know, wrong and right on the square. But if you're making a graph, you're going to want to make sure, a graph, if you're making a design graph, meaning you're going to make a picture, you got to make sure that you keep all your tails on the wrong side of your work. That's why we're marking it with the stitch marker, to let us know that this is the right side. We don't want any tails on this side. Okay? Well, thank you for joining me. Please feel free to go watch on TikTok at Customer Creations 47. I do a whole bunch of live tutorials there. So feel free to join me. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. Have a great day.